name's Gord Sinclair. The Tragically Hip. Arts 85. You're watching Studio Q.
Studio Q, Queen's student television program, is brought to you in part by Procter & Gamble, continuing a long tradition of hiring Queen's students.
I'm Teza Lawrence.
And I'm Graham Abbey, and welcome to another exciting episode of Studio Q. We are here on site, a location of another popular campus medium.
That's right. Tonight we are at the CFRC, Queen's radio station, in honor of their 4th year of broadcasting in stereo.
You know, this could be like the DJ booth for stages.
Go for it, Graham. Go for it.
Yes, that's right. It's Stages All-Night Dance Party here where we spin the disc, spin the mix. Guys, grab a girl. Let me hear you say, I want to go faster. Isn't that great? I think I should do that for a living.
Graham's got a real knack for
I've
that.
found a new love.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we got to head back to reality here.
Okay.
As we all know, February is notorious for the mid-season blues, and let's face it, January was no peach either. Yet Queen's has failed to slow. Tonight we have a great story on Queen's Synchronized swimming team, as well as the final chapter of our AMS Executive Candidate Profile Series. If you failed to see our episode last week, we have updated the tricolor story, and we'll give you a little bit further information as to what's going on with our yearbook.
We also have a continuation of the ongoing Surface saga here on campus. Yes, once again, the newspaper has come up for air. It might look the same, but today's issue of Surface is significantly different. Although officially published under ASSES, funding is being wholly provided from outside sources due to the decision reached by students in the October referendum not to support the paper. The editor is fully prepared for the controversy that inevitably surrounds Surface.
The controversy from Surface is just a symptom of the real problems here at Queen's and generally society.
The future of Surface is questionable, as enough funding was raised for only one issue. For now, the only sure thing is that it is not in the ASSES mandate.
As it stands, they have to get their funding from outside sources. It cannot go through the ASSES budget, and in fact, it no longer is a line item in my ASSES budget. But as far as the future, as I mentioned, there will probably be a referendum on updatable fees if it's brought to us.
And the AMS elections had their first controversy this week. On Tuesday, the Queen's Journal published this front-page article about AMS presidential candidate Jonathan Arnold. It revealed he put computer printouts of women in degrading positions on a floormate's door when he lived in Victoria Hall during first year. Arnold was on the defensive during an open forum held Tuesday afternoon.
From what I understand, it was an anonymous tip to them, and then they went and searched out people from my floor to look for someone who would confirm the story before they came to me and talked to me about it. When it happened, you know, you're straight out of high school. Unfortunately, it's one of the things which happened. It happened 3 years ago. It's not a big issue now. I don't see how it could be.
Coming up on Studio Q, it's election time again. With 5 teams running, this should be an interesting race. Or is it the same old thing? Find out as Studio Q continues its profile series on this year's AMS executive teams. It wasn't too long after Dallas Cowboys beat Graham's beloved Buffalo Bills in last Sunday's Super Bowl that Emmitt Smith said, "I'm going to Disneyland." If you're talented enough, there's a good chance that you could have a very bright future in professional sport, not to mention the fact that you could earn a whole heap of money. But is the success restricted to men only? Last week, the Women's Issues Committee held a conference to address this question. Zainul Rajan was there.
A trip through Jock Hardy Arena 40 years ago might never have witnessed these scenes. Even today, the public's perception still tends to associate female athletes with the more traditional sports such as swimming and gymnastics. Although there may be more and more varsity women's sports on a larger scale, there is no doubt that gender inequality in sports still exists.
As far as playing amateur sports, high school, college, university, provincial, national level, there is no real disadvantage for being a female because I think there are opportunities for both females and males at that level.
It can be very frustrating for female athletes to see the men getting the coverage, endorsements, and opportunity while they fight to gain recognition as athletes.
Probably, if I was male, I would probably consider a professional career, at least for a few years, whereas as a female, it's just not worth it.
The question then becomes, how can equality be defined, and is it possible to achieve? This age-old debate inspired a series of displays on women's sports, as well as a panel discussion held last Thursday by the AMS Women's Issues Committee. The panel was able to offer greater insight into why inequality exists.
Where's the women's rankings? They're not there.
Not because the story or the event involving the females is any less compelling or interesting. The truth is people don't want to read it.
Yet, as the discussion identified, the media could not solely be to blame.
I don't think that the media are going to be able to do it by ourselves in terms of leadership. I think we will reflect what happens in society.
But several members of the panel made it clear that the issue is obviously much deeper.
Competence has to be proven, and not only does competence have to be proven, but excessive competence has to be proven to be considered equal. Give other women credibility. Maybe they work their butt off to get that appointment, and it's only token to you because you think it's token.
Judging from the turnout at the panel, we are obviously aware that a large discrepancy between men's and women's sports exists. But how do we fill it?
People do show an interest, but I think they need to show more of an interest, like coming to support our games.
Equality of sport, however, was not the only focus of Thursday's discussion. The very essence of professional sport itself was also questioned.
You are buying into the male myth. You are buying into what it is to be an athlete, is to adopt, embrace male values. Competition, fight, cheat, you know, that's it.
The efforts of the Women's Issues Committee did not go unnoticed. Perhaps achieving an awareness that an inequality does exist for female athletes and understanding the root of this inequality is the most important step to rectifying the problem. With these efforts in mind, we can look forward in the future to seeing women playing harder on the field than they have to just to stay on it. For Studio Q, I'm Zainul, Rajan reporting.
Remember this weather from hell? Friday was a nightmare for anyone who chose to venture outdoors. Kingston got a serious downpour of freezing rain that turned the streets into small rivers and the sidewalks into ice rinks. Some students used their ingenious creativity to get around without getting wet. If you're an Arts 94, you remember this scene. Anxious formal goers were forced to line up for hours to sign up for construction times. By the end of official sign-up times last Friday afternoon, some students were already forced onto the waiting list. Reuben Hurricane Carter spoke on Tuesday night in Grant Hall. Carter served 19 years for a murder he did not commit. He spoke of the unjust judicial system in the United States, and his comments carried strong messages about civil liberties and justice.
But America has no conscience. America has no shame. In order for America to apologize for what it's done, it would have to go back 400 years to all the Africans that they brought to America and enslave them and continue to enslave them.
The German department made a pact with the devil. Their updated production of Goethe's Faust began on Tuesday night and runs until this Saturday evening in Theological Hall's Rotunda Theater. This ambitious play has a cast and crew of over 60 and includes a live band, a rave scene, and a choir. And if you were lucky enough to be at Alfie's last night, you may have caught a glimpse of members of the Tragically Hip. They came home to check out a performance by The Odds and Rhymes with Orange.
Last time we were here, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. We came and saw our friend's band called the Phantoms play. It was actually the one and only time our guitar player Raleigh actually got up and played.
Here we are in the halls of music at CFRC, and let's just cruise through some of the albums, shall we? We have, of course, the False Front Dude, everyone's favorite. Here's one of my personal favorites. I Got You, I Feel Good, James Brown, huh? And, of course, the classic of all time, which everybody has to have in their collection, Frankie Carl at the piano, huh? Anyway, if you missed our show last week, you missed our special investigative report of the Tricolor Yearbook. Well, have no fear, because Steph Wilson is going to take us back to that story this week for an updated version.
This is the tricolor yearbook you'll never see. For months, students asking for the 1993 edition were given only apologies for production deadlines that continually pushed back the release date. But the yearbook that will finally come out late next month will be much different from the book planned in these blueprints.
The printing of this book could definitely have caused an uproar on campus, and the printing of this book would certainly have far-reaching ramifications.
So what caused this delay? Robert Yee, the editor of the missing book, says production problems were partially to blame.
There were copyright problems with the news section, color separation problems for the color section.
However, Yee claims that these problems occurred in the summer after former Media Services Director Sherry Fraser approved a problem-free and completed yearbook in April. Last week, Yee wrote a letter to the Queen's Journal attacking Jabal and this year's editor Karen Kilcullen. In it, he defended his work, writing that, "I've seen a lot of mistakes on their part. They should do their research instead of trying to pass blame." But they have done their research, and it shows a very different story. Studio Q obtained these faxes from the publisher of the yearbook, Herff Jones. They reveal that Yee sent only 85 pages on time by May the 3rd, and 219 pages at least 2 months late. It was November, a full 6 months past the deadline, that the publisher finally received the completed book. In December, the blue proofs of the yearbook were sent back to Queen's for approval. Evidence of Yee's personal touch was everywhere. On this memorial page, which listed the names of students who died during the school year, Yee included a memorial to his grandfather, who passed away over the summer. It was also in December that, some say, disturbing and offensive quotes were discovered in a new section at the bottom of the graduate pages.
They're basically from anything that comes from the Education Commission, basically. Like any of the LGBT groups, there were gay quotes, lesbian quotes, there were anti-racist quotes, there were pro-feminist quotes, there were environmental quotes.
In the 1992 tricolor, the quotes joked about the 95 Arts jacket fiasco and included humorous observations from the Golden Words. Yee's 93 tricolor, by comparison, had a very sexual overtone. The blue proofs show sections on erotica, safe sex, and a number of quotes dealing with the sexual experiences of celebrities like Roseanne Arnold, Don Johnson, and Madonna. But several of the quotes were sexually explicit. For example, the yearbook quotes porn star Jeff Stryker. "The dildo people came to me. From what they say, it's the best-selling dildo in the history of dildos. They added nothing in width from the mold from my penis, but they added an inch in length. It insults me that they did." Other quotes, like this one from a United States congressman, were even more explicit, as he comments on the spread of AIDS. "It's all about how people insert the penis into the anus, and they insert a fist into the anus, etc., etc." How does Yee justify these new additions?
I mean, the anti-homophobia, anti-harassment people that I've seen said it was a good change because of the way the culture is. To empower, if we empower at least one person, that's better than offending two people that are perhaps redneck.
In December, Jabal contacted a variety of officials on campus to discuss the quotes. On their advice, the yearbook's printing was held back until they could seek legal advice. On the basis of that legal advice, the AMS Board of Directors, authorized by Kilcullen to act as an editorial board in this matter, released this press release Wednesday, saying that offensive quotes in the yearbook would be removed and that they had no place in the pages of the book. This whole process was costly. The AMS must pay an additional $8,000 to remove the quotes. And when do we finally get the books? Providing there are no further delays, this year's tricolor is expected by the end of February. For Studio Q, I'm Stephanie Wilson reporting.
It's time for another episode of What's on Where with Kathy White. The weekend begins on Thursday at the Shot with an orientation smoker. Don't miss the return of Bedhead Fridays and get a chance to play half-price pool. For all Formal 94 goers, make sure to book your smokers now. Alfie's is the place to hear live band action this week, starting on Friday with She Stole My Beer. Tuesday, catch performances by student bands Thorax and Fat Spider. On Wednesday, Alfie's is the place to be to see Furious Styles. Beat the February Blahs at Dr. Gertie's this weekend with Light Night until 9:30 Thursday and Saturday nights. Tuesday, come on down and watch Kristen Pickerskill and Chris Forth perform live. That's it for What's on Where this week. Keep warm and be part of some great entertainment at Kingston's local bars.
Election hype has reached a feverish pitch. Tonight at the CFRC radio station, we have behind us gathered 5 presidents representing the AMS executive candidate teams. They've been fielding questions from the student body all night long. Hopefully they will answer some of your questions so you will be able to make a clear decision come February 8th.
That's where we can help a bit. Last week we had a profile of the Arnold, Skadron, Galari team, as well as the Asselstein, Lippmann, and Shin team. This week we continue our AMS election coverage with profiles of the other 3 teams running.
At Wednesday's candidates' open forum in the JDUC, the Bertrand-Smith-Lolka team were given a chance to relay their platforms to students. Presidential candidate Blair Bertrand showed his commitment to the no-nonsense element of the campaign when he answered a student's question concerning rising tuition costs.
And this is a time that we are going to be able to address the financial questions at this university. And you're not going to be happy with my answer because I'm not going to back down and I'm not going to give in and say I'm going to advocate and I'm going to fight to have no tuition. Because I don't think it's going to happen and I don't think it's realistic. But I am going to make sure that when we do pay more tuition, if we have to, that we're going to be spending on student issues.
Commerce student Ace Smith, running for VP Operations, had the opportunity to display his strong business sense.
The services have to be run in a competent and efficient manner in order to provide the best quality service for you at the lowest price.
VP University Affairs candidate Sylvia Lolka commented on how she perceives next year's leadership style.
I think VP University Affairs should take a more active role, and as VP UA, I will take a more active role.
The Bertrand, Smith, and Lolka team emphasizes the need to make existing AMS services more efficient, the need to create a more united AMS council, and the need to address the social concerns of the campus. The candidates of this team explain why they are qualified to fulfill these promises.
Look at the record of the things that we have done before at our experience, you'll see that we were able to do a lot more than other people have.
No nonsense, no glamour, no glitz, just experience hard work.
Bertrand, Smith, and Lolka should indeed be considered the no-nonsense team in this year's campaign for AMS Executive. They offer real answers to real concerns. On February 9th, the election results will determine whether Bertrand, Smith, and Lolka have the opportunity to put their experience, reason, and commitment to work. Reporting for Studio Q, this is Janine Phillips.
Bringing it back. This is the slogan of Kevin Rex, Jane Shantz, and Taz Pir Mohammed, one of the 5 teams running in next week's AMS elections. Bring back what, you might ask? Well, this team refers to active leadership, creative ideas, and student involvement they believe has been lost in the past. With the election approaching, the past couple of weeks have been very busy for Rex, Shantz, and Pir Mohammed. They've been set up at the dinner lines at Banry and Leonard cafeterias every night, as well as visiting different buildings and classrooms daily. But the work that's gone on in the last little while is not the extent of this team's contribution. They've been researching significant issues and creating their strategy for 6 months. They've also designed a plan that includes various proposals and innovative ideas that are key to their campaign, which they shared during the forum held on Tuesday.
We're thinking along the lines of a new breed of environmentalism. You know, people leave in 4th year, and you see the same thing in the ghetto. Couches and sofas and refrigerators and futons out on the lawns, and it pisses off the community, it pisses off everyone else. And what you also see is all over campus, people selling things. What we're looking at doing is incorporating it all into one central location and operating it in a similar fashion that they operate the bookstore, where students come and leave something, and they get, 80% of it, and the AMS gets another 20% to pay for administrative fees.
In our plan, we proposed a system whereby students would be able to recommend that a professor attend a teaching improvement session at the Instructional Development Center.
Street captains act as a liaison between, Joe Blow living on Collingwood or University Street and the AMS, providing them with resources. We're also looking at the feasibility of offering an AMS-sponsored house insurance policy in the same way we now have a health insurance policy.
This team puts emphasis on the large amount of experience they're entering the race with, as well as the commitment they feel they've already shown. Kevin Rex summed up their feelings.
There's only one team here that's put half a year of research and dedication into an actual hold-in-your-hand platform and policy There's only one team here that has stood up and offered you comprehensive, new, and innovative ideas. A team that doesn't let obstacles get in their way, but takes those obstacles on as challenges. There's only one team here, when you say that you're worried about tuition hikes and you're worried about the government, there's only one team here that has active experience lobbying the government at both the provincial and federal level.
Despite the importance of the AMS's role in all aspects of Queens, this team has said that they will take their job seriously, but not themselves, which is another part of their appeal as the possible future AMS executive. For Studio Q, I'm Meredith Grant reporting.
Meet Drake Carlisle, Karen Ward, and Andrea Whiting. They're one of the 5 teams running for the AMS executive this year. Although they are one of the more experienced teams, all of their previous experience has been in ASIS. However, they feel this is to their advantage.
I think that because we're not within the AMS right now, it can bring a really fresh perspective to the AMS.
The team unveiled their policy outline at Tuesday's open forum. Yet each candidate has their own goals. VP of University Affairs candidate Andrea Whiting will concentrate on specific issues.
Safety on campus, as well as the daycare issue, and I also think that it's very important to be open.
Karen Ward, VP Operations candidate, wishes to complement the social and corporate sides of the position.
Also, one of my largest concerns, because of this huge issue about the corporate society split, as VP Operations, I don't want to be perceived as a number crunching guru.
While presidential candidate Drake Carlisle stresses USA, the housing issue, and diversity within the AMS.
And we're really hoping that the AMS can be a voice for all students, not just, a select few.
Individual goals aside, however, Carlisle, Ward, and Whiting feel their most important aim is teamwork and communication, an area they have a distinct advantage in since Whiting and Carlisle worked extensively together last year's heads of orientation committee.
Things don't get done by one person, and it's really important that you have a team.
As well, we really think that it's important to keep our enthusiasm and the support of one another up within the AMS.
Their main goal, however, is to bring the AMS to the students and to promote greater involvement.
We are very dedicated to making sure that the students feel that we are working for them. We have a lot of things planned to be accessible to the students, one of which is an AMS month in review.
As well, they propose an expansion of the Tricolor Express and to keep services such as Alfie's and Vids in the Hall above water. Karen Ward sums up her team's perspective.
I think that we're all very open-minded people, very concerned with the issues that are on campus, and absolutely 100% dedicated to working for the students.
And for those of you who are wondering what the team's thoughts on Golden Word's claim that they're simply photogenic Gap clones,
I guess the criticism of us in the Golden Words, it seemed that they thought that they didn't really have anything else on us.
For Studio Q, I'm Kathy Barnes reporting.
I'd go to a big reggae party in Jamaica. I think that'd be great.
Anywhere with our new schools, man. That'd be good.
I'd go skinny dipping in Aruba.
Ultimate, everything paid for. Rent a car, drive down to JFK Airport. It's friends, it's 4 of us, and then take a plane to Heathrow.
Well, my actual Reading Week adventure that I'm really psyched about is going through all the little backwater towns in the United States. A bunch of friends and I were hopping in a minivan, going to Memphis, going to Graceland, and maybe go to New Orleans, something like that. Dream vacation.
Then go down to Australia, of course, everyone goes to Australia. Spend 3 or 4 days down there, witness a brush fire. I like disasters. Fun.
I'd take a jet to the Swiss mountains and go skiing Miller style.
5 days of heli-skiing out in BC. Plain and simple.
Hop on a boat, go to New Zealand. That's close to Australia, right? And see the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh my God, well that's easy. I'd love to go to Jupiter. And I want to go on the red spot. I'm dying to see that. I just want to go to the red spot. I guess, you'd probably have a gravity problem, be sucked to the ground, so I guess lie there for a week maybe and come back. And hopefully not get hit by asteroids on the way there. But I really want to go see that. That's one of my big things.
Actually, I want to come back to school. That's it. That's my vacation.
Who's going to do it? 2 weeks of campaigning ends next week as the new AMS exec is voted into office. Catch the results of the election here first, next Thursday, only on Studio Q.
Hi,
Hi, this is Joe Byrne for Studio Q Sports. The Studio Q Gale of the Week is Amy Olson. Amy, a fourth-year biochemistry student, is a native of St. John's, BC. She started fencing in first year with the encouragement of her residents, Dawn, and soon went on to become a strong member of the Gales. Amy has achieved great success this season with a win at Ryerson and third-place finishes against Western and Brock. Olson attributes her success to plain hard work and a little bit of luck. This past weekend, the Queen's varsity synchronized swim team traveled to U of T to take part in the OWIAA ranking competition. The team captured third place overall with 54 points, behind U of T and Western, who tied for first place with 60 points each. The strongest showing for Queens was in intermediate figures, where Anita Bapuji clinched first place. In duets, Layla Myers and Sarah Dunstall finished a solid third place. In basketball action, the men's and women's teams hosted Toronto at Bartlett Gym on Friday night. The men pulled off a much-needed victory with no points to spare, defeating the Blues 67-64. Dave Smart of the Gales was strong, scoring a total of 23 points against U of T. In women's b-ball action, the Varsity Blues of Toronto defeated Queens 65-58. But Tanya McIntyre led the Gales in scoring with a total of 18 points in the game. Against Ryerson on the weekend, the women pulled off a strong victory with a score of 88-67. Vicki Wilson dominated the scoring for the Gales with a total of 32 points. In ice hockey, the men hosted McGill and Jock Hart Arena over the weekend. The team, which has struggled this season, managed to defeat the Redmen 3-2. While in the women's division, the Hockey Gales tied Guelph 3-3 and lost 3-2. The Gales were strong in exhibition against Brockville, where Queens won decisively with a final score of 5-1. That's it for sports. I'm Joe Byrne.
Have you ever wanted to wear a nose plug and do the egg beater? Want to know how it's done? Well, reporter Alison Grant went underwater with the Queen's synchronized swimming team.
With temperatures reaching 40 below, the pool might seem like the last place you'd want to be. The Queen's synchronized swimming team, however, is holding practices almost every night in order to get ready for a ranking meet in 2 weeks. The team is organized into single-figure, duet, and group routines, using music that ranges from the opera Carmina Burana to Carly Simon. There is a wide variety of skill level among the swimmers, yet all of them have to work hard to achieve the coordination needed for synchronized swimming. Layla Myers, who has been swimming synchro for 10 years, highlighted some of the harder parts of the routines.
Spins and twists are harder than holding a position in the same spot, for example. And the higher you are, the harder it is.
Coach Nicole Scheidel, who has been with the team for 6 years, realizes some of the difficulties involved in the training.
I think the hardest thing is to do really difficult things upside down without oxygen. And we just try and push them to do harder and harder things throughout the year so that by the end of the year, the things that were difficult at the beginning of the year are now easy.
In the past, the Queen's Synchro team has been strong at the championship level. Despite a few major setbacks, Scheidel believes that the team will once again rank in the top 3.
We started out with a really strong team, and it's probably been one of the more difficult teams that we've ever swum here. But we had some injuries, and so we've had to revise the team, so that's made it a bit of a challenge this year.
While the team has been cut from 10 to 8 swimmers, they are still optimistic about making it to the championships in mid-February and are spending the time left perfecting their routines. For Studio Q, I'm Alison Grant reporting.
Well, that's it for this week's show. Before we go, we have another giveaway. The question this week is, who won the Super Bowl? That's it. Call in quick. Call in quick right now. 541-1040 is the number to call.
If you say the Buffalo Bills, you win a bonus prize from me. Last week's, who won last week?
Last week's winner were Jen Fawcett and John Wiseman.
And remember, this is for Thursday's show only.
So this week, if you do call in, you could win a T-shirt from The Shot and my favorite,
8 ounces of smoked meat from from Luke's Smoke Shack. So phone in because
it's worth it.
That's the best prize we've had yet.
I
think. And next week's Valentine's Day, isn't it?
Next week is Valentine's Day, so tune in. Now, if you have any questions or if you'd like to comment on the show, have any suggestions, please get in touch with us at
Studio Q, John Deutsch University Center, room 22, Kingston, Ontario, K7L 3N6.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Graham's
Or
getting so
call
good
us.
at that.
Call us at 545-6699 because we always love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. I'm
Thanks for
Teza
watching.
Lawrence.
And I'm Graham Abbey. See you later.
Ciao.